9 at night, paint chip in one hand, cabinet door in the other, and the terrible realization lands. The wall color just turned the entire kitchen the exact shade of a ripe tomato. Cherry wood does that. It's gorgeous, it's rich, it carries a deep red glow that furniture makers have obsessed over for 300 years, and it will absolutely bully a weak paint color into submission. So let's fix that tonight. 7 wall colors, real hex codes, and the reasoning behind every single one, so nobody ends up living inside a marinara jar. Here's the myth worth killing right now. Somewhere around 2015, the internet decided cherry cabinets were dated, and the only cure was a can of white paint and a Saturday of regret. That was never true. Cherry was the wood of choice in Shaker workshops and Georgian dining rooms because it ages like a good leather jacket, deepening from a light salmon tone into that warm russet over decades. What actually looks dated isn't the wood, it's the beige builder paint sitting next to it, doing absolutely nothing. Cherry doesn't need rescuing. Cherry needs a wall color with an opinion. Quick science before the fun part. Cherry sits firmly in the red and orange family, and red is the loudest hue on the visible spectrum. That means whatever goes on the walls is not competing on equal footing. The wall is the supporting actor here. The goal is either to cool the wood down with something on the opposite side of the color wheel, or to lean into the warmth so hard that the whole room feels like a single deliberate mood. The disasters happen in the middle ground where a color can't decide which team it's on. Start with the safest, brilliant choice, not white. Cream. Pure white next to cherry is a disaster because it has blue and gray undertones that make the wood read orange and slightly sunburned, like a tourist on day 2. A cream with a yellow base does the opposite. It flatters. Mentally walk into that kitchen at 7 in the morning. The east light comes in flat and cool, and this cream absorbs just enough of it to stay soft rather than glaring. By late afternoon, when the sun drops low and goes amber, the walls warm up to something close to fresh butter, and the cabinets stop looking like separate objects and start looking like they belong. Add unlacquered brass hardware, the kind that goes blotchy and patinated over a year and a half, and a linen Roman shade. That's the entire recipe. It costs a weekend. Green is red's direct opposite on the color wheel, which sounds aggressive until it isn't. Muted sage is red's opposite, wearing a cashmere sweater. All the balancing power, none of the drama. What makes this pairing sing is that sage contains gray and yellow, so it never feels neon or minty. Next to cherry, it reads almost like moss growing on a fallen log, which is a compliment. Biophilic design is just a fancy term for the fact that human brains relax around color combinations found in nature, and forest floor plus tree bark is about as ancestral as it gets. Morning light makes sage lean cooler and crisper. Evening light pushes it toward olive. Both are good. Pair it with a honed soapstone counter or a Zellige tile backsplash in an off-white, because that handmade wobble in the tile keeps the whole thing from feeling like a hotel. Greige gets mocked constantly, mostly because people choose the cold version. Cold greige next to cherry looks like wet concrete next to a fire truck. Warm greige with visible brown and a whisper of yellow is a completely different animal. Think of this as the color of a good oat milk latte after the foam settles. It's neutral enough to let the wood grain do the talking, but it has enough body that the walls don't read as an afterthought. This one is the move for open plan spaces, where cherry cabinets in the kitchen need to make peace with a sofa and a rug in the next zone. Layer in boucle, aged leather, a jute rug with some actual texture, and the room stops being a kitchen and starts being a place people linger in, which, let's be honest, is the whole point. Now for the bold one. Navy and cherry is a pairing borrowed straight from old libraries and gentlemen's clubs, and it hits like a Wes Anderson set piece. Saturated, symmetrical, quietly dramatic. Blue is a cool hue, so it cools the red instantly, but navy is dark enough that it also matches the visual weight of the wood. Visual weight just means how heavy a color feels to the eye. Cherry is heavy. Pale colors float, dark colors sit. Putting something equally grounded on the walls means neither element wins, and the room feels balanced instead of top heavy. This one demands good lighting, though. Warm bulbs around 2700 Kelvin, an under cabinet strip, and something with a bit of sparkle overhead. Navy in a dim room with cool bulbs is just a cave with regrets. Here's the sleeper hit of the last 2 years. Soft butter yellow, the kind that looks like the inside of a croissant, is having a full renaissance, and it happens to love cherry wood. The logic is simple. Yellow and red are neighbors on the color wheel, so this is an analogous scheme, which is designer speak for colors that get along because they share DNA. The result is a room that feels sunlit even on a gray Tuesday in February. Golden hour turns it into something almost edible. Morning light keeps it fresh and slightly citrusy. Keep the accents restrained, because with this much warmth in the room, everything else should stay quiet. Matte black hardware, a plain white ceramic sink, maybe one green plant with big leaves for contrast. For anybody who loves the navy idea but has a small kitchen with one sad window, this is the answer. Dusty blue is navy with the volume turned down and gray mixed in, and it reflects far more light back into the room. The gray content matters enormously here. Pure sky blue next to cherry looks like a nautical themed gift shop. Dusty blue, with its slightly chalky finish, reads sophisticated instead of themed. Under morning light, it goes almost silver. Under evening lamplight, it deepens towards slate, and the cherry begins to glow against it. Bring in polished nickel rather than brass with this one, plus white oak floating shelves if there's wall space, and the whole thing lands somewhere between coastal and classic without ever tipping into either cliche. Last one, and it's the connoisseur's pick. Olive bronze is a deep, murky, slightly military green that most people would never dare pull off a fan deck. Next to cherry, it's transcendent. This works because olive already contains red inside it, hidden underneath the yellow and green. Colors that share hidden pigment always harmonize better than colors that don't. The effect is enveloping and a little moody, like a well-worn study or a wine cellar somebody actually uses. Deep colors also make cabinetry read as intentional design rather than leftover architecture. Pair it with aged brass, a wool runner, and warm, dimmable lighting, and the room takes on a quality that new construction simply cannot buy. Here's the thing worth remembering long after the paint dries. Cherry wood isn't a problem to solve. It's a warm, living material that has already done the hardest part of design work, which is bringing genuine character into a room. The job is simply to give it a conversation partner instead of a competitor. Choose a color with a clear undertone, commit to it fully, and let the wood keep aging into something better every year. Rooms that feel loved always beat rooms that feel finished. Go make something warm.